Perfect Talk is what it do. Is your guy DJ Playboy. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's talk about it, man. First up, we got to talk about the slap heard all the way from Vegas to France. You know what I'm talking about? Britney Spears ran up on Victor Wembanyama and security was not having it. Also, they found a substance at the White House. Who's been partying up in there? They ended affirmative action of the universities, but a couple of groups are like, what's good with them legacy admissions? Also, Keke Palmer's boyfriend had something to say about her outfit on Twitter and got roasted for it. We also going to talk about the Adam22 and Lena the Plug situation. What's going on in these streets? All that and much more, man. Let's get it.
DJ Playboy.
What's good, y'all? It's your guy DJ Playboy back with another episode of the Perfect Talk podcast, man. And I'm riding out with y'all solo dolo, rocking with you. Just doing what I do. Shout out to everybody out there on YouTube rocking with me. Shout out to everybody out there listening via podcast, however you get it, you know what I mean? Shout out to all the perfect talkers out there, the day ones that been rocking with your boy. It's our 200th episode, you know what I mean? I'm not big on celebrations or doing it too big, but you know what I mean? That's a milestone that I think we should be celebrating. So shout out to us with the 200th episode. We're going to keep moving it, man. You know what I mean? Perfect Talk started in a little field house in Newburgh. You know, shout out with Aoni. Shout out my guy Keith. And you know what I mean? Today I'm looking like Will Smith in the last episode of the Fresh Prince, you know what I mean? He just looking around like where everybody at, you know what I mean? That's how I'm feeling. You know what I mean, physically, but you know what I mean, shout out to all the people I got rocking with me, you know what I mean, always. Shout out to my guy Spec. Spec was supposed to come through, but he's feeling a little bit under the weather, so, you know, we usually be in the bigger studio, but today I'm rocking out with y'all in here. Shout out to my guy Keith, Day Oneer, you know what I mean, been doing it with me. Shout out to everybody that we've had on the show, rocking out with us. My guy Aaron Warsaw, my guy Aaron Yara, my guy Ambro, you know what I mean, Day One fan, been rocking with us. Has been on a few episodes, so you know what I mean. Larea, you know what I mean. Shout out to you, everybody that's been on Perfect Talk, Product Talk, and you know what I mean, just holding it down. Shout out Ayo Niche, like I said, she a Day Oneer. We just been doing it big, but yeah, that's always been up with me, man. My daughter's been a little bit under the weather, like I said, Specs under the weather, so it was like, let's not combine these germs. Let everybody just recover, do what they're gonna do, feel better, and then you know we link up for 201 or 202, whatever we gonna get at them, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm living good, life's good, just been hustling and grinding, and let's get right into it, man. Straight to Plicca's Spotlight story. May not be the biggest story of the week, you know, globally, or, you know, and traditional media, but you know what I mean, in my world, it's something that I want to shine some light on, and this one brought up a difference, a juxtaposition, you know, what have you, between relationship goals, and we saw it brought up with Keke Palmer, right? Shout out to Keke Palmer. Went out to go see a guy, Usher, believe his residency in Vegas. Everybody's been making that little destination trip, going out there and checking out. Recently had a kid. Shout out to Keke, congratulations. I went out to this residency in Vegas. And, you know, wanted to wear an outfit that, you know, when women have a baby, they gotta snap back. They gotta show you that I'm back to where I was at before. You know what I mean? I got personal trainer money. I got dietitian money. I got all that. You know what I mean? And she did. She wore a nice sheer dress with a black bodysuit underneath it. And looked very impressive, if I do say so myself. And the video started circulating on social media. Usher is singing to Keke Palmer. And just that look that Usher has, man, when Keke turns around and show the cheeks, I can see why it would make a brother emotional if you're dating Keke Palmer, if you have a kid with Keke Palmer, if you guys are an item, you know what I mean? And Keke Palmer's boyfriend, Darius Jackson, I want to make sure I get his name right, Darius Jackson, he hopped in the comments on the video. And let's see, his exact tweet was, "It's the outfit though. You a mom." Now once again, Darius is Keke Palmer's boyfriend. He is the father of her child. It's a tricky situation because we live in an era now where it's not as black as white as we try to make it. I'm from the 90s, y'all. I was born in 84, you know what I mean? But I came up in the 90s, and things are real cut and dry, you know what I mean? Like, literally in courtrooms, women were asked what they were wearing, in a sexual assault case and things like that. I don't think they pull that type of stuff anymore, but they just try to characterize people. You dress a certain way, now you're this. You look a certain way, you must be that. And in the age of social media, where women can get criticized for taking a picture, that might be a little bit of thirst trappy, but then also in the same breath get a pass and showing a bikini picture on the beach. You know what I mean? Just, hey, I'm on the beach. It's appropriate clothes for the beach. And I think once you feel like people have already seen you in your bikini, it's like anything more than that is fair game. And every boyfriend, husband, significant other might not feel the same for their woman that they're dating. And in this particular situation, Keke Palmer's boyfriend Darius Jackson got some backlash. Social media, hopped in there and in the comments responded, "Don't date a baddie if you're gonna be this insecure. Not you, jealousy, your baby mother. You right, she's a mom, not a wife," in capital letters. And just he caught some backlash, but he felt he had to respond. Came back and said, "We live in a generation where a man of the family doesn't want his wife and mother of his kids to showcase booty cheeks to please others, and he gets told how much of a hater he is. This is my family and my representation. I have standards and morals to what I believe. I rest my case." And I can't say I disagree. You know what I mean? It shows that he views his wife as a representation of him. He feels that his wife may be being overexposed at a public event, might be sending the wrong message out there, and it's not something that he wants to represent. And it's a trend you see going on. I can't remember who I seen on the red carpet recently, but they had the cheeks out. You know what I mean? They was showing them off. It's a style going on right now. You know what I mean? It's something that you see in fashion that's being more acceptable. So it's like, all right, well, can we view Keke Palmer as being overexposed if this is something that other women are doing anyway? It's something that you see just out here, like I said, on red carpets, on Instagram, on any social media site. So something that we want to definitely allow women to still have that freedom to, wear the outfits they want to wear and not be characterized in a sort of way that we're gonna call them hoes. You know what I mean? Like Gabrielle Union. That's what I was thinking of. Showed off a dress that had the cheeks out. You know what I mean? But it's like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? If it's done in a classy way, if it's done in a way that it could be called deemed fashionable, then we gotta let it pass. And not every husband, boyfriend is cool like Dwayne Wade. You know what I mean? Some, in this particular case, Keke Palmer's significant other ain't with the shits. He ain't like that. And I can't say I'm mad at him for it. I can't say I disagree, but you also, it comes with the territory. Now you're dating a woman in the public light. You know what I mean? She's out. She's young. Also not married, which is, so, some people wanted to bring up, like, how you coming at her, but you're not married to her. But I feel he's allowed to feel the way he feels, and I don't necessarily think that he should be dragged for it. Now, on the other end of this, influencers, podcasters, social media, porn stars, Adam22 and Lena the Plug. If you're not familiar with who they are, Adam22, I believe, is the host of the No Jumper podcast, and him and Lena, they're together. They were dating for a while. I believe they're married now. They host the podcast Plug Talk, where they will interview, porn stars. And sometimes, after the interview, either Adam22, would have sex with the young lady that they're interviewing, or both. Lena the Plug and Adam will have threesomes. Well, Lena, took a little break from the game. She had a kid, and definitely was, doing her work with Adam. Decided that she wanted to do a sex scene with someone else, something that her fans, I guess, were requesting, and did it with porn star Jason Love. Now Lena the Plug, I'm familiar with her work. I checked out some of it this morning, actually, for research purposes only, trust me. But she's a baddie. I'm not mad at it at all. You know what I mean? and I get why she makes money doing that, because she can. It is something that, you know, I've heard she made a lot of money during the pandemic. She's a popular porn star. She's very attractive. Jason Love, I'm not too familiar with his work, but I am familiar with the category of blacks. You know what I mean? Where you get like a white girl, or, you know, a Spanish girl, or, you know, Indian, whatever background. Typically not black girls though. And have them have sex with a gentleman from the BBC category, which stands for you could Google it if you don't know what it means. You know what I mean? But this was one of those scenes. It was also, you know, news because Lena's married. She's married to Adam22. They usually do their scenes together, although, you know, he has sex with the other females. Lena doesn't typically have sex with other male porn stars. So this was something her fans requested. She knew that it would cause a big stir, and they put it out there. They put it out. Adam knew, I think, ahead of time how the internet would react to him, to this particular scenario. He knew he'd get clowned, and embraced it. You know what I mean? Did an interview talking about his feelings on it. Had Lena the Plug on No Jumper, which I don't even remember ever seeing Lena the Plug on No Jumper before. I mostly see it through clips, but they know to capitalize off the moment. You know what I mean? And instead of trying to fight being clowned or fight the court of public opinion, you know, he embraced it, and I sure in more than one ways profited off of it. You know what I mean? So I can't knock it. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily what I would want from my relationship. You know what I mean? Adam's, I think, successful enough to know that in what he does, you're not going to shame him. And people talking about him, whether in a negative or positive light, is great for his brand. I brought Adam22 and Lena the Plug up to my homies, and they didn't know who the hell these people were, but they were interested in the story because it was salacious. You know what I mean? It was, and then I guess once they looked into it a little more, you know, got really interested in it. And I'm sure a lot of people have been Googling Lena the Plug, Adam22, searching. I'm sure her Pornhub numbers are up. You know what I mean? I'm sure she's doing quite well despite people trying to clown Adam22. So you really see two different ends of the spectrum where Adam, you know, he's being called a cuck, he's being called a simp. But at the end of the day, he's profiting off of his wife having sex on camera with somebody else. Whereas a Darius Jackson, who's dating a woman in the spotlight, he's got to realize, you know, certain things he could have pulled Keke aside for that. He didn't have to tweet about it and then put it on the court of public opinion. You know what I mean? Because for what? There's still something between you and your girl. You know what I mean? You're not gonna win. You're not gonna have everybody hop. It's Keke Palmer, first of all, dude. They they love Keke Palmer online. Ain't nobody gonna hop on your team to hate on Keke Palmer just because of her outfit. Ladies, I see it in the supermarket, man. I see it everywhere I go. I know the trend is having your cheeks out. You know what I mean? I remember back in the day, you see like a skit on Instagram where, you know, a girl would be bent over or she'd be, you know, overly revealed, and you'd be like, that don't happen in real life. You know, now you see those skits, you'd be like, I just came from Walmart and seen a chick with the cheeks out like that. Like, just be aware of what you're doing, you know what I mean, and the attention that it attracts. And although things might be fashionable, you know, take a second and talk to your significant other, you know what I mean, before you put him out there like that and put him in a scenario, because he might not want his homeboys or people online to see you in that certain way. Now, I'm not saying let that deter what you're going to do, but at least have the conversation to let it know, hey, I hear you, but I feel like this, or hey, I hear you, and I'm going to move like that, you know what I mean, because what's the point of being in a relationship if y'all can't, you know what I mean, have them type of conversations? And that brings us to my next segment called Have You Heard? I take the biggest headlines in the news that I've come across and I bring them to the table just to see if my audience has heard. And first up, the slap heard around the world, man. Shout out to, it's Brittany, bitch. Shout out to Brittany Spears, man. Huge fan of Brittany Spears since way back in the day. Everybody was on the free Brittany train. I'm gonna let y'all know, I heard this story and I thought it was fake. I seen it in the slums of Twitter. I seen it kind of early too. I'm not gonna lie. What's today? I definitely seen it early and was like, that's a fake story. That's because you see so much fake shit out there. But Britney Spears ran up on #1 draft pick Victor Wembanyama, I believe is how it's pronounced. I'm sure I'm gonna mess it up. Hop in the comments. Like Keith will tell you I'll mess up pronunciations and names all the time. But Victor Wembanyama was heading into catch restaurant in the Aria Hotel in Las Vegas, and Brittany happened to be there as well. And Brittany seen a 7-foot brother walking through there and was like, that gotta be Victor Wembanyama. I'm gonna run up on him and let him know I'm Britney Spears. You know what I mean? You might have seen my infamous picture with Ed O'Neill, you know what I mean, from Modern Family and Married with Children. And you know what? I like running up on celebrities and letting them know. And she ran up. What happened next? You know what I mean? Then it didn't work out great for Britney's favor.
Just like smoke in the face. Who did? Okay.
Now, there were two stories. Brittany, said she ran up. She was just trying to tap him on the shoulder, see what's up, and she got slapped. Victor Wembanyama said he was grabbed. That like he was roughed up. Like came up behind him, and his security had to act. Now, the security officer who acted in this situation is Damian Smith. He's the director of team security for the Spurs. He's hired to walk around with the number 1 draft pick. The Spurs drafted Victor Wembanyama. If you're not aware, number 1 in the NBA draft that recently happened, and that's why Brittany cared about him. He's a big star. He's going to be the future. Of the NBA, so to speak. We'll see what happens. And when she ran up, Damian Smith, struck her face. I don't know if he was trying to swat her hand away or what he thought that move was going to do, but it did slap Britney Spears in the face. It also refuted Victor Wembanyama's claim that he was assaulted, grabbed, whatever the fuck he said it was. You know what I mean? It's a little wild, you know what I mean? A little crazy. Now, Brittany shouldn't have got slapped. Shouldn't have got hit. Shouldn't have went down like that. But you can't just be running up on people. I get it, you famous, but you know what I mean? Like, you see what happened when Kesha tried to run up on Jerry Seinfeld? You know what I mean? Now you got to get embarrassed in front of people. Like, everybody's not with the shits. Everybody's not as impressed with you like the fans are. And, you know what I mean? You got to give people their space. You know what I mean? You got to realize the same respect you wanted at one point, you got to give that to other people. And running up on a 7-foot NBA basketball player proved to not be the smartest move, Britt. You know what I mean? But hopefully, you know what I mean, get a little bag, you know what I mean, maybe the Spurs will throw you something, some season tickets or something like that, you know what I mean? They'll work something out. But yeah, glad the video came out, you know what I mean, brought it to light, because it was wild, it was unnecessary. And that's not how, obviously I think the Spurs want to be represented, how the NBA wants to be represented. It's one thing if a player is being violated, if a player is being grabbed up on, but this wasn't that. And I think it could have been diffused much easier. Have you heard cocaine? Them white lines, man. White lines were found at the White House. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? Cocaine was discovered at the White House this past week. The traces of the illegal narcotic were found while Joe Biden was away at Camp David for a retreat, and was later confirmed it was in the West Wing lobby where guests enter before taking private tours. Crazy situation. I don't really know what to make of it. Sources say that area is highly trafficked, so I mean it could have been anybody, I guess, but it's a funny story, right? It's just funny to have it out here. You know what I mean? In the year that a movie named Cocaine Bear, or the year after, I should say, a movie Cocaine Bear comes out, that we are dealing with a White House that has cocaine found in it, with the president who has a son who has a rumored drug addiction problem. Well, not rumored, I guess Joe Biden's admitted it, for cocaine to be found in the White House West executive entrance. They said it was the West Wing at first, the West Wing lobby, but now they have took back that statement and said the powder was found in a cubby near the White House's West executive entrance. They're investigating it. They're looking to see what was found, but they did confirm it was cocaine. This is nothing more than a funny story or something for Republicans to run around with and make jokes as they do their tours. It probably was planted if you were asking me. But who knows what kind of parties they got going down in there. If that's how Joe stays awake for all these damn press conferences, I understand it, Joe. Don't condone it, but I understand it, man. Have you heard? This past week, man, the first woman to be found with CTE was discovered. Heather Anderson. She's an Australian rules footballer who competes in the Australian Football League women's competition, and fortunately took her own life in November 2022 at the age of 28. Discovered that, when they looked at her brain, that she did have CTE. Why this, I guess, was more newsworthy than anything, because this is the first female athlete that this was found, and you typically see this in football players. I'm assuming maybe hockey players might as well, soccer players, but this was the first female athlete to be diagnosed with CTE. I'm assuming they looked into it because of the fact that she committed suicide. But yeah, that is it just goes to show you, like, the spectrum of sports with that, where this injury can occur. We shine a light on football all the time because that's where we really know it as concussions going, but that it happens a lot. I hear when doing the headers in soccer, that's not great for your head. Obviously rugby is a sport where they're not wearing too much equipment to protect them. And you got to imagine, Australian rules football, that this is something that could happen. But yeah, thoughts and prayers definitely with Anderson, Heather Anderson. That hopefully the research done on this will be done to protect more people, and let's see, what can be done to prevent not only CTE from forming in athletes, but from athletes, taking their own lives and things of that nature happening. Have you heard? 3 Black and Latinx groups filed a civil rights complaint against Harvard Monday morning, alleging that the university's consideration of legacy and donor preferences violates the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Now, if you don't know, the Supreme Court decided that affirmative action will not be used in admission processes moving forward in colleges and universities. This was brought up, I think, a major case in the University of North Carolina as well as Harvard, in terms of, like, and I get it, a lot of the people that were protesting against the affirmative action to end affirmative action were Asian, students that felt like they were left out because they had higher grades than maybe a Black or Hispanic student. But however, because a quota had to be met, because to bring in a certain people from that particular background to keep it diverse, they were left out. Now, I don't quite get why affirmative action didn't work in their favor. Or maybe there just were a lot more Asians, I guess, trying to get in. So that pool, you don't have to go from a really high number to filter out a really small number. Whereas if we're just going to base it off of your grades, they might have gotten in over some of those other minorities because in a scenario where they had higher grades. So to combat the end of the affirmative action admission process, a lot of these 3 particular groups in general, I wanted to get the names right. The Chica Project, the African Community Economic Development of New England, and the Greater Boston Latino Network, they pointed a finger at, what about legacy admissions? If you're not familiar with that, that's when if you have a family member that graduated or went to Harvard or Yale or these Ivy League institutions, it increases the chances of their children being able to get in there. And I can see why they're pointing a finger at that, because they're like, how is that even fair? If we're not even going to use race as a factor, I get that, but this disproportionately, I think is the word I was looking for there, disproportionately is advantageous to white students. Like, obviously, there are more white graduates from Harvard, Yale, Ivy League universities, so that's going to continue to allow there to be greater numbers if we're basing it off the legacy factor of it all. If we're letting students in based off of their parents graduating, yeah, that's obviously going to be advantageous to a white student more than it is to a Black or Hispanic student. So we want to see. I believe students who receive the special preferences of donor and legacy preferences constitute up to 15% of Harvard's admitted students. So, I mean, that's a big number, 15%. So let's see where that goes. You know what I mean? This battle's going to continue on, but things, just aren't great in general for groups in this country. That's I spoke about it previously, but the Supreme Court decisions that affected student loan forgiveness, LGBTQ rights, and the end of affirmative action were not great for those particular groups of people that were affected by it. Have you heard? This happened a few weeks ago, but I never got the chance to shine a light on it. I just want to give a shout out to my guy, J. Cole, who's now become a minority owner of the Charlotte Hornets. He was part of the buyer group that bought Michael Jordan's portion of the Charlotte Hornets. It's awesome. J. Cole is from that area, South Carolina, I believe, and he represents that community strong. So to see him follow the footprints of like a Usher, of Jay-Z, who put him on in the rap game, to be a minority owner in the team, hopefully, we'll make some equity from this and some profits from it. It's awesome. I'm glad to see it, man. It's something that I think the hip hop community needs to see more of. So I definitely wanted to shine a light on it. Yeah, he's part of the group that was led by Gabe Plotkin, who was already a minority owner with the Hornets, Rick Schnall, who was a minority owner with the Hawks, and country singer Eric Church. And they purchased it from Michael Jordan for $3 billion. Shout out to Michael Jordan, man. The rich get richer, but you don't mind when they look like you. You know what I'm saying? So I like to see, brothers that look like, myself, so that I could aspire to, the Obamas of the world, the Jay-Z's, the Michael Jordans, the Magic Johnsons. Seeing them get in the bag lets me know it's even more possible for people that look like myself. So shout out to Michael Jordan, shout out to J. Cole. Ownership is what it's all about. And before we get out of here, man, I gotta show y'all something, man. If you don't know, now you got Stephen King. He got a vacation house out in Maine. A deer impaled itself on the gate. And I'm sure y'all the pictures. Warning. They are graphic pictures. But I'm looking at it from two different angles, and it's creepy because if you don't know, Stephen King is the author of the books Pet Sematary, along with many other horror films. And I don't even understand how this deer got to the other side of this. But I've seen some crazy things. I think, things I've seen on the internet started very early on with a deer being lodged in just the grill of a car. You know what I mean? So it's not far-fetched that we're seeing this. But I'm just looking at it from two different angles, and I'm like, how did the deer fit through that little opening just to get caught on that one part, man? But yeah, and I don't know, I'd have to move. I'd have to move. It's all about the energy you attract. I've been big on that nowadays, man. I don't know if I'm getting more spiritual or whatever the case may be, but it's like I feel like objects have energies, things have energies. The stuff you put out there, we were talking about it with Sukiyana, right? Like how she puts a certain energy out, and then something happened to her, and everybody pointed to the energy. Now I'm not agreeing with that, but I'm just saying the same thing could go for if you're a negative person, if you're a positive person, if you're writing about ghosts, if you're writing about pets coming back from a cemetery from the dead. You might be attracting that type of attention, and Stephen King, might have. That's something I want to show y'all, man. Things I've seen on the internet. And that's another episode in the books, y'all. Perfect Talk. We just turned 200. In episode 200, I'm happy to be rocking with y'all. Y'all can find me on Twitter at DJPLAYBOY. Go follow me. I think I'm a good follower. I feel like I'm kind of funny sometimes. Also, you can check me out on Instagram at PLICCAPEEZY, PLICCAPEEZY. Also, follow Perfect Talk on Instagram at Perfect Talk Radio, and go check out our website www.perfecttalkpodcast.com. Every episode of the Perfect Talk podcast, my radio shows that I'm doing. I know I'll be teasing stuff, and then sometimes don't be coming through with it, but I think I got something big for y'all coming through musically on the forefront. So give your boy some time to cook. That's one thing too I'm learning, is just don't take on too many things, because time is our only currency. Time is really all we got, man. As much we put in the money, it's really all about that time. So be smart with your time and how you plan things out. But use your time to go check out my website, www.perfecttalkpodcast.com, where for now you can check out every episode of the Perfect Talk Podcast, my radio show that I do with my brother DJ Show, Money Talks Radio. The first and 15 mixes I'll be dropping be up there with Ayo Niche. What else? My motivational moments be up there. The new releases that drop every week be up there. So go out, check the website, perfecttalkpodcast.com. Big things are going. Also, check out every episode of Perfect Talk Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I don't know if I said that twice, but go check it out twice. Don't give it 2 listens. Leave a rating. Leave a review. The algorithm loves that. And then a shout out to everybody on YouTube also. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get them notifications. Know when we rocking and hop in them comments, baby. Don't be afraid of it. You know what I mean? Life is good, man. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. I got so much things I gotta go run and do, but it's just a pleasure rocking with y'all every week. Thank you for rocking with me for 200 episodes. I hope to give y'all another 2,000, to be honest with y'all, because I love rocking with y'all and podcasting with y'all. So it's your guy, DJ Playboy. I'm up out of here. Peace and love to everybody out there. And spread love. It's the Brooklyn way, baby. We up out of here. Moral of the day, hold on before we go. The moral of today's episode, do not be running up on people. I don't care if you're famous. If you got something to say about your girl's outfit, maybe pull her aside, because hopping in the comments is kind of a bitch move. And I guess if your lady's gonna be out here having sex for money, embrace it. Go to Adam22 way. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you're gonna stay with, you might as well make something out of it. You know what I mean? And shout out to Adam22, man. Shout out to Lena the plug, because you're not going to shame them, you know what I mean? You definitely not going to make them feel bad about what they do, and they've figured out a way to get to that bag despite what you might feel about them and say about them and whatever they doing. I'm sure their numbers going through the roof this week. What else? Stephen King, you know what I mean? Be careful that energy you attract, brother, because it might, come to life and you don't want to end up in a real life misery. Whoever it is partying at the White House, clean up after yourself, you know what I'm saying? If you're gonna party, you know what I mean, you gotta dust up afterwards, baby. How you just gonna leave that laying around? And that's about it. Spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. We up out of here, y'all. Peace.